Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Merrill Talks. Today, we're going to be discussing electric vehicles, the journey so far, as well as the road ahead. We're going to be touching upon everything from the technological, the geopolitical, as well as the human aspects of electric vehicles with our resident expert, Merrill Fund's portfolio manager, Marc El-lazidi. Welcome, Marc. As always, I'm looking forward to today's discussion with you.
Hi, how are you? All good?
Very good, very good. So, Mark, electric vehicles. It feels like we've been hearing a lot more about them lately. Everywhere you look in the news, there's a story, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Is it just my impression, or are we at an inflection point in this market's growth?
Yes, Yannick, you are right. Isn't just in impressions. We are seeing a surge in AV popularity. They have been driven to a large extent by many Western governments having a pledge to ban internal combustion engines at some point over the next 10 to 15 years. The shift to electrical vehicles is essential as part of the green transition, an issue more and more people are demanding that governments need to act. This is the reality. I think the technology is finally at the point of mass adoptions. Obviously, there is a lot of positive talk and also some controversial one. For example, if we take the case of US, there is a lot of people who are against, I will say, this shift in a direction of electrical car. I mean, it's probably a part of the cultures. As we know in US, they love to have a V6 engine or even a V8. So I think, like I say, some continents are against, some are pro. Now there is still also some concern regarding battery fires and how after the things are being recycling, etc., etc. So there is still a discussion about electrical vehicles, positive and negatives.
And obviously, when we think about cars, we traditionally think of the big European car makers, German cars, the likes of BMW, Volkswagen, Mercedes, and so on. They're obviously all present in the market. They've all now released their own EVs, but it feels like the electric vehicle companies, they're getting more attention at the moment. How is this shift affecting manufacturers?
Yes, European car maker must learn hard the lessons about the danger of not remaining ahead of the games. Newcomers to challenge the heavyweight are not here as we can imagine decade ago. Many of these manufacturers are late on this AV party, I would say, and starting to appreciate these transitions in directions of green car, if I will say. I think it's a new language for them, and it's not like a complete switch. It's like rethinking out of the box, I would say, because now it's a new language in the way, like a new framework, software. I mean, no, we are not talking about anymore like engineering company, but more software company. And obviously, as we know, Asian company are quite advanced in these things because they are quite tech heavy. When I'm thinking about Asia, I'm thinking about obviously China, but not only China, we can think about also Japan with Toyota. So definitely here, there is a race for innovations, adaptability, and how the dominance on the technology side. So I think just to give some color to this, let's put some chart here, and let's start with here, Europe and the German manufacturers. Look at the trajectory since the beginning of this year on BMW, Volkswagen, and Mercedes. Interesting, huh? Not really positive, I would say. Recently, the CFO of Mercedes-Benz made a comment during an analyst call reported by Reuters. He used the term pretty brutal space for AVs. And after he characterized the environment as an intense price competition. So we see there is quite a bit of concern. On the other side, yesterday, the European automaker Stellantis took a stake of the Chinese AV maker Leapmotor for 1.5 billion with 20% of the stakes. Maybe we can see now the chart. Very interesting. Different trajectory compared to the German automaker. Quite a positive one in this case. Just for you to know, this summer I was in Shanghai. I took a photo of one of these models of Leapmotor. As a European, I was attracted by the design, but I never heard about this company. So quite, I would say, Stellantis is taking a big shake on that side. Now, talking about Europe, let's move now to Asia and see a little bit about the trajectory of the US-listed Chinese automaker, Xinpeng, NIO, and the famous BYD, which is listed in Hong Kong, one of the favorite of Warren Buffett at that time. Interesting also on that side. I'm always trying to put also the valuations. And now, on the chart, let's finish with the US one, Tesla, obviously, Ford, and GM. And yesterday, not only an incredible news from Stellantis, but also Ford missed the earnings. So it's not so good. So it seems like from Asia to Europe, a lot of things going on, including in US.
And I mean, as with all new technologies, I guess the evolution of EVs is also being shaped by the current geopolitical landscape. You know, we find ourselves in a period of quite a bit of volatility, and the period that has been described as one of characterized by deglobalization, where we're seeing a drive to onshore key manufacturing processes against the backdrop of a trade war, essentially between China and the US, two very big players in this market. What impact could you see this having on EV adoption and the market in general?
Yes, I mean, as you know, geopolitics is a high-stakes game. China and Europe are the only two regions at the moment, as we discussed at the beginning, having the infrastructures to continue to support the adoption of electrical vehicles. But obviously, it will also bring in protectionism, cutting times between the impact of heavy company on the bottom line. So also, as we know, China has a certain dominance on, I will say, essential materials, rare earth product, and etc., who are necessary to do this green transition, and I will say even these green revolutions. So it could be also an issue, and we know that a lot of Western companies have been targeted on the sanctions, ASML, for example, because of these advanced semiconductors. So it's not, I will say, it could be an option that the trade war could extend to electrical vehicles, for sure.
Let's hope not. So another aspect that is, I guess, changing our experiences of cars is the fact that they're becoming increasingly more digital. Digital transformation has, hit the automobile as well. And as you said before, over time we've seen cars go from engineering marvels to what are essentially consumer products like software. I mean, like electronics. So software is becoming more of a determining factor than engineering. As this happens more and more, do you see the car industry mirroring more trends maybe we've observed in the tech world, for instance, like smartphones?
For sure. I mean, as we know, car manufacturers are not anymore like this engineering that we can think about on the 20th century. Now we're in the 21st century. So all this car manufacturing, even pushing them to change the way they think and moving into like smartphone. I will say even not a smartphone on wheels, but I will say a supercomputer on wheels. That's the future. I mean, we are not in a science fiction movie, but it's the direction we are taking. So clearly here, there is a lot of things going on. And this company who used to be like traditional engineering companies are not anymore. And now they are more like a software company, like Tesla, for example.
Which I guess puts those companies that took long to kind of shift onto this kind of new way of thinking about cars at a disadvantage. I wanted to zoom in a bit on Germany because we've seen lots of headlines lately about how Germany is struggling, how its car industry is struggling, how this is reflective to a certain extent of the broader problems with the German economic model. What do you think about this? What are your views?
I mean, the investor punished the German automaker, as you know, and we can see against the chart of the stock market of BMW, Mercedes, and Volkswagen. I mean, definitely the investor has these impressions. It's quite close to the reality, and definitely Germany needs to reinvent the way of thinking, especially still on the way of thinking like the post-World War II. This is where Germany is standing. We hope, I think a lot of positive things are coming with the European Chip Act, who's signaling that the government at the moment are going in the right directions. And I think it could create some good positive catalyst. But again, I think Germany needs really to rethink his way of seeing the future. That's the point. As we know, for example, China are already investing a lot on these AV cars, and even on that side, I can tell you, when I was in Shanghai in a mall center, and I'm entering in a Huawei shop, and there is like a car. So now even the person, so that's why we said before, the company the software company are also going now into the automaker industry. So it's quite an interesting thing. So that's the point.
Yeah, it feels like Europe and Germany and Europe know what needs to be done in a sense, but like we've mentioned many times before on this show, Europe is slow to move and to react to these challenges. So one hopes that we'll start to see an uptake. In innovation and in EV car adoption. So we've gone over quite a bit of about electric vehicles and the revolution. It's obviously not a set in stone how the sector will develop. There could yet be developments both on the geopolitical front, technological front, but it seems certain that we're sure to hear more about electric vehicles over the coming months and years. And it's definitely a subject we're going to come back to periodically to see what updates there are. So that's it for today. However, don't forget to find us and to follow us both on LinkedIn and on YouTube. And let us know in the comment section what you think about electric vehicles. And finally, as always, remember that the contents of this video are intended solely for informational purposes and in no way constitute professional, financial, or investment advice. Thank you very much and see you next time.